Evening, South Carolina weather watchers. Hopefully, everyone has had a fantastic Wednesday. I'm your host for South Carolina Weather, Jesse Peterson, and let's talk about the weather for our Wednesday evening going into our future. Looking at the radar right now, the only thing that we have going on is some showers and some storm activity up here inside of the Greenville Spartanburg region, up here in Anderson, Easley, Williamston, and Belton as well. Showers, downpours continuing, as this is only the start for the rain up there inside the upstate, as we have a moderate risk of excessive rainfall as well as a high risk for some regions as well. We'll talk about that in a second. I think I kind of jinxed it this morning, but we're going to go on and talk about all that when we get to the excessive rainfall. Right now, though, showers and storms going on up there in the Greenville, Simpsonville, Anderson region. And you can see that the entire state of South Carolina is covered in yellow. And you might be like, okay, why is the entire state covered in yellow? What is this? These are all tropical storm warnings. The entire state, yes, the entire state of South Carolina is in a tropical storm warning. That is, not gonna lie, kind of unbelievable to see. I don't even know when's the last time the entire state of South Carolina was expected to receive a tropical storm, but tropical storm conditions will be felt over the entire state. It may be less in some regions and it may be stronger in some regions, but every part of South Carolina will receive their own types of bads and goods, pretty much. And we'll talk again all about that in just a second. But let's go on and talk about the MRMS. Let's talk about the entire United States. We do have tropical storm warnings all the way on all the way inside of South Carolina, inside of Georgia and Florida, as well as some hurricane warnings going on inside of places like Georgia and Florida. Again, storm surge warnings also going on in Florida. And one thing that you might see here is that we have hurricane warnings that go all the way up into Macon, Georgia. 25 to 35 mile per hour winds with gusts of up to 55 miles per hour. And maybe even up here, and it could feel like a hurricane at times with those gusts at times. But even the city of Atlanta, for example, 45 to 55 mile per hour winds with gusts of up to 85 miles per hour possible. And so that's why we're seeing some of this stuff over here. I mean, we're just seeing just a bunch of those inland winds that will move in right next or right to the east of the eye wall. The east side of the eye wall will be where most of the winds will be, and it is expected to max out right now at a Category 4 Hurricane Helene right now, and you can see how big this wind field is. This is going to be a pretty big, like when I say a big storm, this is going to be a very, very big storm. We have not seen a storm this big in a while, and the wind field with this thing, this is why the entire state of South Carolina is under a tropical storm warning. This storm will be humongous, and it will have a humongous wind field with it, which is why the entire state is under a tropical storm warning. But shifting off of that for just a little bit, we do have some rain going on in Kentucky and West Virginia, as well as up here in New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, as well as Massachusetts as well, as rain's going on through there. We also do have some shower and thunderstorm activity up there in Idaho, Montana, Washington as well, as we continue through the next, couple hours or so. Some severe weather will continue. Talking about cloud cover, let's move our way down here and let's talk about cloud cover real quick. Cloud cover right now seems to be showing just some pretty, just decent cloud cover, almost overcast pretty much. Some decent overcast right now going through the state. Heavier in some other places, heavier and not. Kind of like heavier in some places, softer in other places is what I would say. And right now, the entire state pretty much will probably be covered. No, I'd say clouds will be covering the entire state going through the next couple of I'd say the next couple of hours, 24, 48 hours or so, not really too much going on, especially when a huge hurricane is heading your way, tropical storm. And you can see it here as we move through the next 18 or so hours. Clouds will continue even as we get into tomorrow afternoon. Cloud coverage just will continue. And that's what we're going to have to deal with as we go through tomorrow and possibly Friday when it officially moves out Friday afternoon ish, going to Friday evening. Here is our current temperatures right now: 71 inside of Columbia, 71 inside Greenville, 75 inside Columbia and Rock Hill, as well as 77 in Bennettsville and Loris, 79 inside of Myrtle Beach, 79 in Georgetown, 80 inside of Charleston, 79 inside of Moncks Corner, 79 in Savannah and Beaufort, as well as 71 inside of Augusta, Edgefield, Greenwood, Newbury, and Winsboro as well, if I did not say that already. 68 inside of Walhalla as well. Here's our low temperatures for tonight. Seems to be around 73 inside Columbia, 73 inside of Moncks Corner, 76 inside of Charleston, 75 in Hilton Head Island, 73 inside of Georgetown, 75 in Myrtle Beach, 71 inside Sherrod, Dillon, Florence 72, Sumter 73, Winsboro 71, Newbury 68 inside of Greenville, Spartanburg 69 inside of Rock Hill, 68 inside of Anderson, Loris, and 60 Lawrence, and 69 inside of Greenwood. Here's our forecast precipitation for the next 24 or so hours, and look at that rain right there. This is the first stage of what I was talking about how I was saying one side will get more impacts than the other, and this is a part right here. The upstate will see way more significant rainfall than any other part of the state, possibly up to 3 to 4, maybe even 6 to 8 inches of rain is possible inside the upstate of South Carolina, and that's just for the next 24 or so hours. It might continue. It might continue, and that's why we're still going to have to watch out for all of this. And so it completely eclipses, like, for example, 3 to 4 inches possible inside Greenville. Myrtle Beach will only receive 1/10 of an inch to 1/10 of an inch during the next 24 hours. 1/10 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch possible in Georgetown. Maybe even 1/2 an inch to an inch possible in Charleston. 1 to 1.5 inches of rain possible from Moncks Corner, Somerville, Ridgeville, Walterboro, Hilton Head Island, Latson, and places like that. 1/2 an inch to an inch possible in Barnwell, Orangeburg, Columbia, Winsboro, and Rock Hill. And then maybe even another good 1 to 1.5 inches possible for Aiken and Newbury. 1.5 inches to 2 inches possible in Greenwood, Lawrence, and Spartanburg. And then we're getting into the 3 to 4 inches for Greenville and Anderson. So that's one thing that I will talk about, and that is about the precipitation. One thing that I will say that the east side has, so if we go into tonight, not really much going on here, except for just a little marginal risk still in effect for the upstate of South Carolina. Just a small chance for some gusty winds and maybe isolated tornado is possible. But the main threat is tomorrow, as we have a code, honestly you could say code yellow/orange going through for portions of the low country of South Carolina. Also, we do have a yellow up there for places like Columbia, Myrtle Beach, Conway, Georgetown, places like that. And the reason why this is because not only because of a 5% chance of damaging winds, which is from obviously the tropical storm and the outer bands that go through the region, but also the tornado threat as well. There is a pretty big tornado threat with this, and especially in the Beaufort, Hilton Head Island, Savannah, Brunswick, Beaufort region of South Carolina and Georgia. We have a huge tornado threat there, and then we also have a 5% chance of receiving some tornadoes going into the southern Midlands and the rest of the low country and mainly the PD region, and then a 2% chance that goes all the way close to the upstate. But I'd say we just saw the rainfall region. This is stage 2 right here. The rainfall wise, the west has that, but definitely the eastern side, low country and PD region have the tornado threat with this. And that's another thing that we're gonna have to watch out for. Is I think some people may be trying to downplay this a little bit more. Like I saw For example, on a weather station, they were saying stuff like, oh, maybe some isolated tornadoes are possible. This is definitely a scattered tornado type issue right here, especially with a 10% risk in, and even the 5%. And the 2% is when you get to like the isolated, but the 5%, in my opinion, is like more on the scattered risk. But that's just my opinion, what I think will happen. And then as we go into day 3 Friday, not really much, just a little marginal risk for severe weather for the very, like the tip of the South Carolina, North Carolina border on the PD side. So that's pretty much that on severe weather. Make sure that you're watching for tornadoes. Again, I think it will be like a little nighttime threat tomorrow night. Here's the excessive rainfall outlook, and here's just another thing right here. The rainfall, and there is a high risk for some flooding, and that's up here near the Chattanooga River over here, just to the east of Greenville. You do have a high risk for some excessive rainfall, also a moderate risk for some excessive rainfall up there just off the pink region, and then we do have a yellow risk as well that goes just to the east of Greenville, Anderson, and near Spartanburg as well, and then a marginal risk that gets going from Rock Hill, Charlotte, all the way down into Savannah with some minor flooding possible. Here is tomorrow being the huge day for any type of excessive rainfall, flash flooding, as we have another high risk of excessive rainfall that is in effect for pretty much like the western portions of Greenville, and also a moderate risk that goes all the way down to Columbia, and then a slight risk that takes over the entire state, the entire low country of South Carolina. And the only place that might not receive too much flash flooding, if just some minor flooding, is over there near like North Myrtle Beach and places like that, maybe even Myrtle Beach itself. As you go into day 3 Friday, a little moderate risk for some excessive rainfall for up there. Again, the same area that's been receiving this heavy rainfall for the next couple of days will still receive that rain on the Friday. Slight risk still in effect for Greenville, and this is why I believe some people were forecasting up to 10 to 15 inches is possible. A foot is possible. Kind of like what we saw down with Debbie down there for the low country of South Carolina, up to 10 to 15 inches of rain fell with that one. Same thing could happen up there inside the upstate this time. Day 4, another minor risk of flooding for the upstate. And then day 5, another minor risk of flooding is possible going into Sunday. So just a lot's going on. A lot of excessive rainfall is possible, and the upstate has a risk for excessive rainfall through the next 5 or so days, especially the far upstate. If you're in a flood-prone area, you have to be paying attention, because this is a honestly life-threatening situation. The pink, if you're inside that pink high risk, that is a life-threatening situation, and receiving rain like that days on end is not a good sign at all, and you definitely need to be taking that seriously if you're up there inside of the upstate. And any other region that has any type of flash flooding, it doesn't always have to be a high risk for it to be dangerous, is what, some people might not understand too much, is if it's a low risk, oh, they'll be fine. Usually, sometimes that's the case, but not all the time. Even though the risk might be low, it is still possible. It is still possible, which is why even the 5% sometimes matter. But going into our simulated radar, this goes just over the next 48 or so hours as you go into 11 o'clock p.m. showers, downpours continuing up there for the upstate of South Carolina. Showers actually starting to push in from the Atlantic into the low country in the PD region of South Carolina at around 11, 12 o'clock in the morning. And then as you go into around 3, 4 o'clock in the morning-ish, showers, downpours continuing for places like over there near Myrtle Beach, Conway, Loris, up there in Rock Hill, Lancaster, Greenville, Simpsonville, Spartanburg. Again, just the rain just continuing. And then the rain really starts to get started at around 9, 10 o'clock in the morning for places like Columbia, Allendale, Beaufort, Barnwell, Greenville, Simpsonville. And it continues even into 2 o'clock p.m. tomorrow, where we're just seeing heavy doses of rain from 4 or 5 o'clock-ish going into the low country Midlands of South Carolina as well. And look at places like Myrtle Beach. Myrtle Beach, right when it gets up there to Myrtle Beach, it kind of just dissipates. You can kind of see it right there. It's like trying to avoid it almost on purpose. I'm not quite sure, but it almost looks like that. But I mean, obviously, you will still get some rain. And there goes that tornado threat. Honestly, I think this might be a bit too early. Some models were saying that it was going to be around 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. But there goes that tornado threat that we were watching for right here at around 12 o'clock in the morning, sweeping through the low country of South Carolina, bringing that tornado threat at around 12 to 1 o'clock in the morning, going into our Friday. And then even up there into the upstate, not the upstate, but the PD region of South Carolina, around 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning as well, going into our Friday. Still, that tornado risk is still there. And then look at this, 10 o'clock in the morning on Friday. Nice. Nothing's going on. There might be some clouds still left over, but the storm is done. Even as you go into around 2 o'clock p.m. on Friday, the storm is pretty much done, pretty much gone. So honestly, Friday is definitely going to be a day just, where you might want to observe, see what happened, and if there's any type of cleaning up you have to do, Saturday would probably be the day to do so, even though you do have to watch out because some of the deaths from storms actually come from cleanup as well. People not paying too much attention and stuff like that. So make sure that you are paying attention just in case if you are doing that. But that is that. Let's talk about Hurricane Helene in general. Right now, it's an 85-mile-per-hour storm. Catastrophic, deadly storm surge is likely along portions of the Florida Big Bend coast. You gotta take that. If you know anybody inside the Florida Big Bend coastal regions, I hope they evacuated. I really do hope that they evacuated already. Especially, you can see the purple right here. That is 15 to 20 feet of storm surge. That is deadly. That is life-threatening. And they National Weather Service officers are already saying you will not survive that if you go through that and you get 15 to 20 feet of storm surge. So that's why there's mandatory evacuations out for those regions. And I hope people evacuate over here. And also up there near South Carolina as well, you may not really be thinking of too much about it, but storm surge that goes all the way from the low country of South Carolina all the way up to the South Santee River, up to 1 to 3 feet of storm surge is possible. So we could see some storm surge on our coast as well, not just down here inside of Florida. Here's the rainfall potential from it as well. Again, most of the rainfall being inside of the upstate of South Carolina. And then the arrival time of winds as you go into, I'd say, go into right here, into like Thursday, 8 o'clock p.m. is when we'll probably start to receive, maybe 20, 30 miles an hour. And then you go into like around the later, like 11, 12 o'clock in the morning, maybe 40 to 50. And then it increases as it goes through the nighttime hours, maxing out around 60. And then probably, I'd say max around 70 going on. Here's wind speed probabilities, not really much to talk about here. Wind history, again, I was talking about how big the storm is. And then some other key messages, we're just going to talk about this over here. It says strong wind gusts are likely farther north across portions of northern Georgia and the Carolinas, particularly over the higher terrain of the southern Appalachians. It says catastrophic and life-threatening flash and urban flooding, including landslides, is expected across portions of the southern Appalachians through Friday. Hurricane and tropical storm conditions are expected over northeastern portions of the Yucatan Peninsula, Mexico, all that kind of stuff. Hurricane conditions, they're just talking about Yucatan and Cuba. So let's see what does Helene look like right now. You can see it over here as we move our way into this. Current storms right now go into the satellite imagery right now. Let's check it out. Let's see what's going on. So here is what Helene looks like right now. Right now it is rotating and it is causing that rain throughout pretty much just to the west of Cuba and through the Yucatan Peninsula right now, as it is continuing to move its way up towards Florida, as places like Miami, Key West are receiving outer bands from the storm right now, bringing a tornado threat and a little wind threat and rain threat, obviously, with it as well. So that's going to continue moving its way up. And then as you go into just model guidance, I don't think there's really too much of a point of talking about model guidance anymore. But if you want to see it really just making landfall in Florida, then it's going to try and turn around and go east again. Also, here's a GFS one right here again. Same thing, going to do a little loop-de-loop and go back out. And the GEPS saying the same thing, going to take a little tiny loop-de-loop that time and go out. Intensity guidance right now having it at around a Cat 3 at the max, even though it is forecasted that it will be a Cat 4 by time it gets to as it gets to Florida. This will probably be updated probably in a couple of updates, I'm not quite sure. But Cat 4 is the maximum strength, I think, at 130 miles an hour with gusts of up to 160 miles an hour expected. So that's pretty much everything on Helene. You can also see we do have two other areas that we are watching for any type of development. We have disturbance 1 over here. Showers and thunderstorms have become slightly better organized over the past 24 hours in association with a broad low pressure system along a tropical wave located several hundred miles west of the Cabo Verde Islands. Environmental conditions appear favorable for gradual development of the system, and a tropical depression is likely to form during the next couple of days, while it moves westward to west-northwestward across the eastern and central tropical Atlantic. So that is that. Here's disturbance 2. Showers and thunderstorms have recently increased near the center of gale force non-tropical area of low pressure, located several hundred miles to the east-northeast of Bermuda. Environmental conditions could support the low development of some subtropical or tropical characteristics over the next few days, and a tropical or subtropical depression or storm could form late this week or this weekend. Now, luckily, this has nothing really to do with us, even though it is an invest. Both of them are an Invest 98 and Invest 99. Even though I do not believe Invest 99 will really have any much to do with us, Invest 98 still watching. Has a 70% chance of forming over the next 2 days, 80% chance over the next 7 days, and this one up here, 40-40 right now. So that is that. Let's talk about the future of South Carolina, and then we'll talk with the audience. If you have any questions of the audience as well, go on and leave them now before I get to the audience, which I will in around a minute or two. So try and get your questions in there now before, because you may have a question that somebody else may have. But pushing this forward as you go, the time is in the top right corner of your screen as we get into September 26th to tomorrow. Showers, thunderstorms, tropical storm moving through the region. And then as we continue through, as we go into the 28th and pretty much the 29th, showers still continuing up there inside of the upstate of South Carolina. And then as you continue through the 30th and even getting into October the 1st as well, showers are going to be moving off, and we're going to have a pretty nice start to our October, maybe a couple of showers here and there, but a high pressure starts to form, and then we have a little storm that we're trying to watch down there near the southern tip of Florida, near like kind of near like the Florida Keys and down there near Miami. As it moves its way off by October the 5th, and then as you get into October the 7th-ish, again, just another nice quiet period. And then we have a nice 997 millibar low pressure trying to make it inside of Texas and Louisiana, again, which we have had a lot of Gulf activity, like a lot of Gulf activity, but not really too much in terms of the Atlantic. I mean, we had potential tropical cyclone 8, but right now, it really just seemed like the Gulf is the one taking actions as we get through the peak hurricane season. That's pretty much it in terms of the future. Let's go on and let's talk with the audience. If you want to be a part of the audience, you can by joining us at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. But before we talk with the audience, we have 15 people in here and only 11 likes. Let's get that like button up. Let's get everybody to go on and just okay. Just make sure that everyone goes on and hit that like button before we go on out. I want everyone to hit that like button before we leave or head on out for tonight. So let's go on and get that. So let's go on and see what the Audience have to say. Confucius says, great channel, man. You are so much more accurate than WYFF or Fox Carolina Weather. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much for that. That really does boost up the confidence. That does boost up the confidence there. Trail says, hi, Joseph. Hello. That says, good evening, Joseph. Man, that is heavy. How often have you seen an entire state in a tropical storm situation? That seems like a great Google search right there. Let's go on and check it out. Let's see. And I say an entire state getting in a tropical storm warning. Let's see. I guess Florida was just a couple of. Well, I guess Florida was the last state because the entire state of Florida is in a tropical storm warning right now. I'm pretty sure as well. So, I mean, I mean, I guess Florida was the last one, but it probably was not. To be honest, it probably was the past couple of years. If I was to try and guess, I can't remember exactly. If I do get an answer, though, I will let you know. Tish says, hey, Joe, hello. Mr. Anthony says, good evening to you. And then Trail says, yikes, no wind. Wind will likely, unfortunately, be expected, though. Like button, everyone, please. I just pinned that. Make sure you guys hit the like button as well. My Nana says, hi, Jay, hello. And then Confucius asks a question. The Weather Channel app says we will see 31 mile per hour winds in the upstate around 8 a.m. on Friday. Do you think that is that's even close to realistic? Seems a bit high. Well, you're talking about sustained winds, I'm gonna assume, because if you're talking about gusts, you will definitely see gusts higher than 31 miles an hour. Because if you're talking about sustained winds, I could potentially see that. I can potentially see winds sustained around 30 to 40 miles per hour. But gust wise, you will definitely see gusts higher than 31 miles an hour for sure. My Nana does say, enjoy your big 16th birthday tomorrow. And that is one thing that I wanted to talk about. The reason why I made my goal September 26th was because it is indeed my birthday tomorrow and I'm turning the big 16. So that is why I made that's why I made the subscriber goal on September the 26th, so it would be a good birthday present. So that is why that I did that. Love you, Jay. Love you too. Tish says you're doing a fantastic job. Thank you so much. And then I think that is ATLFL girl says hello from Panama City, Florida. We stayed for Cat 5 Michael. How honestly, I know a lot of people were comparing this storm to Michael and saying that this storm could try to get to Michael's strength, if not be honestly more dangerous than Michael in certain ways. So honestly, you're gonna have to let me know how that goes. See, do you think that it would be worse, or was it worse? So after the storm, you should come back and let me know. Caleb says, if tropical storm moves in between 2 to 6 a.m. on Friday morning, what are the wind gusts in Alpharetta, Georgia? That is, again, another fantastic question. Again, you guys keep these questions coming. We'll be here, and I guess until we have no more questions left to talk about. But I'd say, let me look up Alpharetta, Georgia. Alpharetta, Georgia right now, going into making landfall around 2 to 6 a.m. on Friday. Seems to be gust probably up to around 60 to 70 miles per hour. Is honestly what most forecasts are saying. Most are saying around 60 to 70, maybe even 80 miles per hour. I think the max gust right now around 76 miles an hour in terms of gusts. Now, in terms of sustained winds, around 40 miles an hour. So, winds sustained 40 to 45 miles an hour, gusts of up to 70 to 80 miles per hour possible. So that is for Alpharetta, Georgia there for Friday morning in between around, actually not even around, that was actually around 8 o'clock in the morning is when those main winds will push you. Around 2 to 6 in the morning, wind gusts will only be around 40 to 50 miles per hour. ATLFL girl says, wow, lots of birthdays tomorrow. I do know a lot of people's birthdays is tomorrow. And then, yes, definitely, again, keep me posted on that. Caleb says, I can handle 60 to 70 miles per hour winds. I've been through, survived that gusty storm. Make sure that you are safe during it, though. Not just, outside going, doing your daily activities. Actually try and stay inside as much as you can. Confucius says again, if you set up super chats, I'll start sending some donations for your hard work. I'm trying so hard to get there. I need to at least get to 500, and then I believe 300 or so. I think 300 or so watch hours, I believe. So that's why we have the stream set up. We have the daily, the 2 daily forecastings, because then that's when you start receiving super chats, and you can actually start receiving a little thing called a paycheck. So you can actually get that done during that. And then Trail says 16. Oh my, I know. I felt like that I just turned 14 like a month ago, but 16 now. But let's go on and talk about San Antonio. Let's go on and talk about Raleigh. And then we'll see if we have any more forecast updates, any more questions. And then we will, if we don't have anything else, we will be out of here for tonight, and we'll be back tomorrow. So let's go on and check this out. In terms of San Antonio and Raleigh, nothing else really going on in terms of rain right now. As we go on and talk about temperatures real fast as well. Let's go on and wait for this. Let's check the like button, go real quick, because we always check it. Okay, seems like everyone has hit the like button. That's a good thing. If you haven't, though, make sure that you go on and do that for us. Talking about temperatures for San Antonio seems to be around 66-ish, maybe 68. High temperatures going to tomorrow at around 89. Low temperatures tomorrow night at around 60-ish. And then high temperatures going into around 90, 91, 92-ish going into San Antonio. And then going into over here into Raleigh, North Carolina. We're going to push our way back over here, going into low temperatures for tonight, around 70. High temperatures tomorrow night at around 79-ish. Low temperatures tomorrow night at around 73. And then high temperatures going to around 78, 79, 80-ish going into your Friday for your high temperatures. And then in terms of reflectivity, which is just rainfall pretty much, in terms of rainfall, again, not really much until you get into around like tomorrow. I'd say around like tomorrow morning, afternoon-ish, where you start receiving scattered precipitation from Helene, and we'll receive some heavy rainfall even as you get into Friday morning as well. So that's pretty much all that is right there. Let's go on and talk about severe weather for both locations. Here is the excessive rainfall outlook for both Texas and Raleigh as well, for both San Antonio and Raleigh. Nothing for tonight. Raleigh does have a minor risk for some flooding going into Thursday. Tomorrow, same thing with Friday. Minor risk of flooding for Raleigh on Friday. Nothing for Saturday, and nothing for Sunday as well. And let's go on and talk about just some severe weather. I don't think that there's any severe weather that you're going to have to watch out for, if I'm not mistaken, but nothing for today, nothing for tomorrow. And let's see. Actually, Raleigh does have a risk for some severe weather on Friday. I think maybe a tornado threat, but we'll watch for that, and I'll let you know about that. If not, tomorrow. Okay. If not about tomorrow, then maybe Friday as well, because I'm not quite sure if I will be here tomorrow evening. But that's pretty much it in terms of all of that. Let's go on and look at your live radar one more time. And then let's go over here to the live radar. And we're at 253 subscribers. I did forget to say, well, I didn't even forget to say, we hit 250 last night. Okay. Then it dropped to 249 and it got back up to 250 today. And now we're at 253. So thank you to all the new subscribers tonight. We got 3 more tonight. And then Caleb also says one more thing. He says, I'm turning 17 on Friday the 27th. Happy early birthday to you, because that is in 2 days, a day right after mine. But that seems to be it. I don't see any other comments, any other concerns. I will be here for another 5 minutes or so, just to check the chat one more time, just to scan it. Just hit 254 as well. Thank you to whoever that was. But we're slowly getting there. We are slowly getting there. Next goal is 300. Trying to figure out a date right now. I think I'm going to go with sometime in early November, but I'm still trying to figure that out right now. But that seems to be it. So everyone have a fantastic rest of your Wednesday evening, and thank you so much for getting us past 250 all the way. Hey, yeah.